Hello there, and welcome back to the captivating realm of the enigmatic universe. I am your host, Clifton3D, and today, as part of our Monster Madness October series, we're delving into another thrilling article. Get ready to dive into a world of fascinating and monstrous creatures. Are you prepared for the adventure ahead? Why is Friday the 13th unlucky? The real story behind the superstition. Friday the 13th is generally considered a day that anticipates misfortune and bad luck. Its perceived unluckiness has multiple roots. The stories commonly associated with the event include allusions to the number of individuals present during Jesus Christ's Last Supper and the date of the sudden arrest of members of the Knights Templar in 1307. Over the years, the occasion's misfortunate associations have been embellished. The unluckiness of Friday the 13th has been related to a fateful dinner party in Norse mythology, a 1907 novel, and the untimely death of an Italian composer. Given its tradition as folk tale, each explanation should be taken with a grain of salt. The unluckiest day. It's possible that the stories around Friday the 13th developed on existing beliefs relating to the day of Friday and the number 13. Friday is generally considered the unluckiest day of the week. A practice of executing people by hanging on a Friday may have led to the day being known as Hangman's Day. Meanwhile, a line of Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, written between 1387 and 1400, alludes to the mischance that fell on a Friday. Fear of 13. The fear of the number 13 is known as triskaidekaphobia. The Oxford English Dictionary attributes its use to the 1911 book Abnormal Psychology by Isidore H. Carriot. The folklore writer Donald Dozy attributes the unlucky nature of the cardinal number to his interpretation of Norse mythology. Dozy was not a historian but founded a clinic focused on phobias. According to Dozy, a dinner party in Valhalla featured 12 gods, but excluded the trickster god Loki. When Loki arrived as the 13th guest, he contrived one god to murder another. The resounding impression is of the misfortune this 13th guest had brought. The Last Supper. According to a separate skein of superstition, another famous 13th guest was perhaps Judas, the disciple who betrayed Jesus. There were 13 individuals present during the Last Supper that preceded Jesus' crucifixion. A story embracing the crucifixion of Jesus has also contributed to modern speculation around Friday the 13th. Mathematician at the University of Delaware, Thomas Fernsley, has claimed that Christ was crucified on a Friday the 13th. The trial of the Knights Templar. People searching for confirmation of the unluckiest of Friday the 13th may find it in the gruesome events of the trials of the Knights Templar. The secrecy, power, and wealth of the Christian order had made it a target of the King of France in the 14th century. On Friday the 13th, October 1307, the king's agents in France arrested members of the Templar order en masse. They were charged with heresy, their prosecutors making spurious accusations of idol worship and obscenity. Many were sentenced to imprisonment or burnt at the stake. The death of a composer. A novel published in 1907 named Friday the 13th may have helped to disseminate a superstition that had grown as a result of stories like Ghiaccio Rossini's. In his 1869 biography of the Italian composer Ghiaccio Rossini, who died on Friday the 13th, Henry Sutherland Edwards writes that Rossini was surrounded to the last by admiring friends, and if it be true that, like so many Italians, he regarded Fridays as an unlucky day, and 13 as an unlucky number, it is remarkable that on Friday the 13th of November, he passed away. White Friday, a calamity that befell soldiers on the Italian front of World War I, has also become associated with Friday the 13th. On Friday, 13th December 1916, thousands of soldiers died in the Dolomites from avalanches. On Mount Marmolada, 270 soldiers died when an avalanche struck an Austro-Hungarian base. Elsewhere, avalanches struck Austro-Hungarian and Italian positions. Heavy snowfall and a sudden thaw in the Alps had created the dangerous conditions. A request to vacate the Austro-Hungarian barracks on the Grand Pose summit of Mount Marmolada by Captain Rudolf Schmidt had in fact noted the danger, but it was denied. What is wrong with Friday the 13th? Friday the 13th may be regarded as an unlucky day, but there's no avoiding it. The occasion of the 13th day of the month falling on a Friday happens once every year at the very least, but can take place 3 times in 1 year. There's even a word for the fear the day provokes. A word that is nearly so hard to pronounce that I'm going to try to attempt it. Frigatriskakidophobia. I'm sure I butchered that one. Most people are not generally fearful of Friday the 13th, while a 2004 report by National Geographic included a claim that the fear of traveling and conducting business on the day contributed to hundreds of millions of dollars of lost business. It's difficult to substantiate. A 1993 report in the British Medical Journal had similarly claimed that an increase in accidents may take place on Friday the 13th, but later studies disproved any correlation. Instead, Friday the 13th is something of a folktale, a shared story that may well date no earlier than the 19th and 20th centuries. How do you personally view this superstition, and is there a possibility that our subconscious plays a role in manifesting accidents when nothing is inherently wrong? Please share your experiences in the comments below. Have you ever encountered any unfortunate events on Friday the 13th? For a small story about me before I leave you to ponder about the possibilities of Friday the 13th. My mother went into labor on Friday the 13th in 1989. Supposedly, the doctors kept pushing me back in until I arrived on Saturday the 14th at 5:45 a.m. Thank you all for stopping by, and until next time, take care. Remember to hit that like button because, well, you know, likes are like cookies for YouTubers. We just can't resist them. And hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribing is like adopting a virtual unicorn. And who wouldn't want a majestic creature like that in their lives? So join the party, hit the subscribe button, and keep following. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep those tinfoil hats closed. You never know when they might come in handy. Until our next extraordinary adventure, this is Clifton3D signing off. Stay weird, my friends.